I'm taking a break from video game stories to cover a video game movie story. I present to you the S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Shadow of the Zone Bingo Sheet. The fan movie is being screened at select shows around the country. All the tickets at this point have either sold out or time has run out to order them, and with that, we're locked in. So this video will be an overview of my predictions for the film, compiled into, as you can see, a bingo sheet. Key factors that played into my predictions include Evan Royalty being the writer again, Stephen Hancock being the director, and their combined use of a limited budget. Oh, and of course the events of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R game franchise. All of these factors make one hell of a bingo sheet that is sure to have at least 5 events in a row, right? Okay, hear me out. I have to be right about at least a handful of these points. I mean, come on, some of these are a given. Like someone gets headshot, the trailer for the S.T.A.L.K.E.R film shows a ton of shooting galleries, someone's gotta get dinked. Besides, the director's previous films on his channel always have a heavy focus on tactical combat. I am of course referencing his films SCP Dollhouse and SCP Overlord. Speaking of which, in those films the actors would rarely show their faces, so on a bingo sheet I'm making a solid bet that one of these supporting characters keeps their mask on the entire film. Just from looking at the bingo sheet, you'll notice that a lot of the points are more so based on the director's past works than the actual S.T.A.L.K.E.R franchise. And that's because the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games have a ton of spectacle to them that would require a ton of CGI, something you're not going to see in a low-budget tactical action film, such as a mutant, or part of one on screen. This tile on the bingo sheet is the biggest stretch by far, but we did get to see some monster cultist and a huge monster slowly lurking at the end of SCP Overlord. Both of these scenes were presented well enough that they didn't break my suspension of disbelief, so it's not impossible that a mutant from the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games will show up. In a behind-the-scenes video for SCP Overlord, Evan talks about how the script and budget go in tandem, thinking about the most minute detail and if it's worth the man-hours and money.
The reason why we also had paint jobs on all of their masks was so it would be easier for the audience to identify whose voice belongs to who. That was, since we're on a shoestring budget, that was our primary reason for doing that.
He's thinking like a smart writer, having a simple scope and getting creative with what resources he and his director, Stephen Hancock, actually have.
We had a mood board of several different special operators, like with their ventilation systems, just to kind of see like, okay, like what can we get for a reasonable amount of money to translate what we have in the script to the screen.
Luckily, this film is sizing up to be one of their biggest films yet, so hopefully we get to see some more fitting use of CGI. In the trailer, we did get to see an anomaly in a larger gunfight, which could easily lead to some of my predictions here. An anomaly kills something, someone runs out of ammo, a Kalashnikov is used, free space. A German weapon is used. This tile is testing the audience's knowledge, plus a few German weapons are actually used in the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games. A melee weapon is used. Seems budget effective, and the knife is often used in the S.T.A.L.K.E.R games. A rocket launcher is used. And following that is, an explosion kills multiple people. Okay, let's slow down a bit and explain some of these tiles a bit further. Next we have a YouTuber cameo. In Evan's previous film, Operator Drewski, a military sim YouTuber, was one of the supporting characters. And with even more YouTubers joining in on the S.T.A.L.K.E.R project, it's possible that we'll see even more. To the right, we have a faction from the game appears. In Evan's previous films, he did use groups and labels within the collective SCP properties, so it's likely some S.T.A.L.K.E.R factions will either be mentioned or actually appear. This next prediction is a stretch, but not as big of a stretch as mutants. We have a character from the game is alluded to. They don't have to be discreetly named, but it would be awesome to see the actions or references to Strelok, Sidorovich, Scar, or Alexander. In a more heartbreaking turn, we have 1/3 of the good guys surviving by the end of the film. The reason I went with this horror movie mentality is just that. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is a survival horror game where very few people live, and Evan Royalty isn't afraid to kill off his cast. We'll just have to watch the whole movie to see the results. Next up, we have a gun is given a copyright legal name. This is a slam dunk, as movies cover up products with a moniker to save on referential costs. Can't show household products without a license from that business. That's why a lot of movies have logos on cars or devices covered, or why your favorite racing game gets deleted from online platforms. If we were to do a CGI creature, I feel as if Snorks or zombie stalkers would be easiest. Hell, you can even do that with practical makeup, making snorks or zombies the easiest spectacle in a stalker movie. Definitely a lot easier than making a larger mutant. This is a tactical action movie, so someone has to get headshot. Skipping right along, we have, oh no, the horrors of nuclear energy, or any line commenting on the negligence at Chernobyl. Funny enough, I think even this tile is a stretch. Evan does a great job of focusing more so on the source content without getting too far into semantics. Granted, the game also pokes at nuclear negligence, so maybe it isn't too much of a stretch. A few tiles down, relatedly, we have Chernobyl or Pripyat are mentioned. Pretty self-explanatory and pretty much a slam dunk for bingo. Going back, we have a military aircraft being used. Helicopters were CG'd in the last film, and helicopters play a big role in the stalker call of Pripyat. Good chance they'll be here too. This next prediction is a further stretch but can be done with practical effects. An artifact is seen. I don't know, wrap a plastic ball in some glow-in-the-dark gel and call it a day of filming. A Geiger counter is used. Funny enough, a Geiger counter isn't actually used by the player in the first Stalker game. The movie appears to be based on the first game since stalkers don't know about the common conscious yet, so there's a chance we won't see a Geiger counter at all. But if we hear one, then this tile counts. The tile below it is about the common conscious. The trailer already said an anomalous emission was picked up, so the common conscious is out there. It's a matter of if our heroes interact with them. Thieves, scavengers, or bandits adjacent attack. Probably one of the most common enemies in Stalker, we're bound to see some. A supporting character keeps their mask on the entire film. Both SCP-Dollhouse and Overlord did this, pretty much a shoo-in. This next tile is a stretch, but pretty much one of Stalker's staples, and is kind of a must if you're making a Stalker film. That is, junk is thrown to test for anomalies. If this isn't included in the film, then it's not a good Stalker film. Fuck you. And that's the Stalker bingo sheet. I will or will not be handing these out at the New York showing on the 10th of August. Some sheets will have the tiles in a different order, similar to actual bingo, so that way there can only be a few winners. The prize will be, I don't know, $50 or some shit. I realize there will be screenings before New York screenings, so for those who have already seen the film, how did my bingo sheet do? For those who haven't seen the film yet, feel free to download the bingo sheet in the description and play with your friends. I'll even put some different variations in there so you don't have to move the tiles yourself, but feel free to edit to your heart's content. This is different than my other content, but I love video game stories and technically this counts as it is a video game movie. This was also an exercise in researching and validity as my last video had none of that. That dog shit was me thinking I knew everything about a game after one playthrough of me barely focusing, thinking I could piece things together because I was hot shit, but in reality I wasn't even a little shit. So super sorry about that, it won't happen again. I'll keep up the effort for my next video and stay tuned. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next story.
Сука, блядь!